Are you looking for a good one bag for your next adventure? Maybe to a ghost town? I got an option for you. So this adventure begins with a trip from Oregon down to Cerro Gordo. I met Chris actually halfway due to some flight issues. I met him in Reno. But we got here and this place is so rich in history. We were talking to Brent a little bit last night and he was speaking about there was a point in history where this place was pretty much an equal trading partner with Los Angeles. I believe he said the population of Los Angeles was 6,000 and this was 4,000, but don't quote me on that. It's been a long day. But the purpose of this video is really to kind of show you what you pack for maybe some city exploration, a road trip, and camping, right? In one bag. How do you do that? How do you make that all work well for you? I am the age of most of the ghosts that live here. The men and women came from all over the world, sailing ships from China, fleeing the famines in Ireland, farmhands and cowboys, the tenements of New York City, small towns across the Midwest. They came here to make their fortunes in search of adventure. And most of them died before the age of 35. What a great start to an even better book. If you're familiar with Brent's YouTube channel, and many of you are, it's no wonder why him and so many folks are drawn to a place like Cerro Gordo. Over the last year or two, I've been really trying to focus on literature and writing and journaling and all of that stuff that kind of leads to a more analyzed and slower life. And if you're interested in that, make sure you check out my new webpage. I just redid it to include some of my favorite books and what I've been reading, but also it's a good jumping off place to see where else I am on the internet, all of my other social medias. When I started this video, I first mentioned that this trip was kind of two-faced. It had an adventure part of it, like camping, as well as road trip. And I really wanted to do this as a one-bag trip. One bagging really does get to that goal of kind of slimming things down and focusing on your objective, being mindful about what you pack to ensure that your trip is nice and smooth as it can be. I started with this GPS map. I've had this thing forever for whenever I go camping or go out into the woods for a bit where I don't have cell service. This is nice. Number one, it's a great navigational aid, but number two, it has an SOS device. Being out in the middle of nowhere makes it super important to be able to communicate in the event of an emergency. Also, I like to just be able to text my wife and say, hey, I'm here and I'm okay. This is a great device for that. The other part of this was a medical kit. And now this is not a boo-boo kit. This is a trauma kit. I've been trained on this type of thing, and it's actually something good to get training on if you're gonna be in this type of a scenario. I am in these scenarios quite often with my hobbies, so being able to stop a major bleed or be able to render aid to somebody is super important, because even if I do get a help signal out to somebody, it's going to be a long time till somebody comes for me. That road up to his camp is miles long and it is very treacherous. Those two things were really my over-the-top prepping. I don't know if everybody needs that type of thing, but I wanted to include that because I thought it was a good idea. The other component of an adventure trip like this is being ready for any type of weather that can be thrown at you. I knew where I was going, it could go from very hot to very cold. I'm from central Pennsylvania, so I'm adept to packing like this, but I would recommend doing what I did. I started with thermal underwear, and then building off of that with your jeans or your Lululemon travel pants, your shirts, your sweatshirts, so you can stack up as it gets colder and shed those layers as it gets warmer. And I can tell you, it was very cold during my stay. I knew my accommodations would be all taken care of for, and it was very similar to like a hunting camp, where they had the wood stoves and all that, and it was very nice. Everybody was so hospitable there. But I was so glad that I was ready for the colder weather. I can even tell you during the middle of the night after the wood stove was cut off, my room was actually very cold. However, I was ready for it. I was already layered up, I brought a good sleeping bag, and it was well taken care of. Including with this, I brought some freeze-dried food. Now, you probably don't need to do this. I have some strange dietary restrictions, so I didn't want to show up and be the guy that had all of these, ifs, ands, and buts about what is going to be served there. I wanted to be able to roll with it, and if something was being served that I couldn't eat, I could just pull out one of these freeze-dried meals and just eat it. That was actually entirely unnecessary. The meals that we had during that time were actually perfect for my dietary restrictions. And just a final note about food and water, I did bring this Grail water bottle. I always travel with a reusable bottle, and I figured, man, I might as well upgrade to one that can do a bit of filtering. I've been using it for a few months whenever I travel anywhere. I mean, it's even nice in the hotel to be able to filter out your water from the tap and get rid of some of the like really high chlorinated taste. When I was there, we actually brought our own water in, so we knew it was safe, but it's nice and handy to have. Regarding the city adventure part of this trip, I was already pretty well set up for this. My clothing choices were already modular, so I could just pick the right outfit for the day and go. But I'll say the biggest thing here was my backpack, the Aer Travel Pack 3. So if you've been following my channel for a while, you know during the Black Friday sales that were going on this past year, I picked up a Cotopaxi 35-liter output and this bag, and I've been testing them both thoroughly. And the results are in. This bag won. It's mainly just personal choices. Because of the way this is constructed, I fly on a lot of regional airlines, and I felt like if I ever have to gate check a bag for some reason, this is going to handle it much better, being that's made out of real durable nylon. I just had this suspicion that if I gate checked the Alpha 35, it may get ripped or torn very easily. I don't know. This also holds its shape a bit better and has some padding because I always take my photography gear with me, so it felt safer in here. But for the city adventure portion of this, the reason why I like this so much is I had to carry it a lot. This was on my back most of the time when I was going out and about. The load lifters were a game changer. Being able to lift the load of the bag up and down depending on what felt the best was great. I really wish this bag came with, by default, the waist straps. Now I did buy those whenever I bought this bag, and they're not super expensive, and I'll tell you, they work well. They actually put the load on your waist. I couldn't get that to work for me on the Alpha 35. Mainly that's due to how long my torso is. Most folks won't have an issue. The other thing was the water bottle compartment. It zips up and goes away very nicely when you don't need it. My travel tripod fits in here, my bigger water bottle does, but also the front panel has a tech organization compartment. This meant I could leave my tech organizer at home and all of my cables would be very nicely kept. Overall, I think this is a great bag for one bag travel, whether you're going on a city exploration or going to a ghost town. I was there with Crosstalk Solutions. I'm their network consultant to help build out a nice solid internet connection. And we'll be back out there. I'm super excited to go back out after reading this book to have more knowledge on the history of the location and Brent's personal experiences, and also just to take the place in, right? That place is beautiful, phenomenal views. Everybody that has been out there has been so kind. And finally, also the continued testing equipment like this. I'm going to take this on my next few travels even before I go back out there. But it's a great place, you know, to kind of put things through the ringer, really test them out and see how they work. So that's pretty much it. It's been a great trip. I had a lot of fun. If you have any questions about any of the gear I mentioned or anything about this, let me know. I'm a small channel. I love that type of interaction. Thanks for your time. Thanks for subscribing to David Does.